Hello, good afternoon. My name is Paul Schulte. I am the founder of Schulte Research based in Singapore, and we do a lot of work with various sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds, insurance, pension funds globally in the US, Europe, and Asia. And we focus on financials and financial technology and the way in which financial technology is morphing into new areas like prop tech and infratech, and this is with the use of 5G. And then lastly, a big part of the book is on the role of millennials. You know, The Economist magazine did a very good piece a few weeks ago on the difference between crisis and transformation. In times of crisis, you need leadership at the top to make very tough decisions very quickly, very rapidly, and to implement those systems and those changes down the line very quickly in order to avoid catastrophe. And that requires a CEO, that requires the C-suite. In the area of transformation, this requires young people. Transformation requires imagination. It requires a need to change and to do things in a new way. It requires leapfrogging. It requires a new kind of imagination, a new kind of innovation, a new kind of thinking, a new kind of making things leaner, smarter, faster, better, cheaper than the entrenched interests of the people in the upper echelon of companies. And this kind of transformation is vital to include millennials. The conclusions in the book are basically that American Fortune 100 companies simply don't do a very good job of being inclusive toward millennials, and we have a lot of workshops in the book to discuss how more cooperation can be had between older people and younger people, and I think this very much applies to China as well. And then lastly, when we're looking at where we go next, you know, obviously it would be ideal if the U.S. and China could have more cooperation. If the U.S. is going to try to create some sort of alternative to 5G, I think this is quite unworkable, and so there has to be a need for having some sort of cooperation on 5G that can benefit people globally, because as it is, for instance, you know, every single country in Africa is using 5G except I believe Rwanda, and it's completely ever present in the Far East and in many parts of Latin America. And so trying to debunk it or to create an alternative at this point seems very unrealistic. So we hope that greater cooperation can be had between the two governments to find ways to create solutions for these. As some of you might be aware, China had offered to sell Huawei's equipment and the source code to the United States, and that offer was rejected. And so we hope that there's new ways to cooperate. And lastly, again, the major differences between the implementation of 5G in China is very much of an industrial use. The US is very much a consumer use. I believe the consumer use is going to be problematic because it doesn't have quite the economies of scale that you need in order to make a consumer really own this, you know, quite expensive device. Whereas in China, you have some very significant industrial applications that can be useful in so many things, in logistics, industry, commerce, commercial office space, residential office space, in pedestrian traffic, in optimization of automobile traffic, of lighting systems, energy, utilities, everything. And so that's it for me. I'm based in Singapore, and I'm happy to discuss this with anybody afterwards. Once again, thank you for your time.